Guys, Blue Lock is goated. I absolutely love this series. The art, the characters, the story, all of it is amazing. If you've watched my previous video on Blue Lock that came out not too long ago, then you'd know exactly why I love this series. Is it the best thing I've ever consumed? Definitely not. But is it a pleasure to read nonetheless? Absolutely. Now there's a couple things I want to talk about in this video, mainly to do with the current state of the Blue Lock manga. Precisely, the Bastard Munchen vs PXG match. And look, before I continue, I want to make sure it's known that I binge read Blue Lock and caught up to right when the Bastard Munchen vs Uber's match ended, and I for the most part been reading the final game consistently. And for those who don't know, this match has just concluded and has been going on for well over a year now, and it is safe to say that the opinions on this match are interesting. I need to go over something really important. We all have those talks about who has the most toxic fan base in anime, whether you think it's the Dragon Ball fandom for their constant fighting on how Goku diffs your favorite character, or the One Piece and Naruto fans who are just constantly at each other's throats on which series is better. Then you got the Gintama fandom who are just chill. These discussions on which fandom is the most toxic is as old as time. It's a discussion that will likely go on for years to come, but one thing that's never spoken about is the dumbest fandom. And I think we should, because holy shit, the Blue Lock fandom has to be without a doubt the dumbest fandom in all of anime manga. There are times I'll be reading comments on people's thoughts on the series and I can feel my brain cells dying at a rapid pace. It genuinely baffles me how people could be so wrong about something they've read. Now, before I get assassinated, I'm not saying everyone in the fandom is stupid. Just most of them. For those who aren't involved in the fandom, you must be extremely confused as to what I'm talking about. So I feel like to get a better grasp and understanding of the situation, we need to talk about the protagonist himself, Isagi Yoichi. I don't care what anyone says, Isagi in every team he's been on from the start of the series to right now, he has always been the heart of the team. And the most important aspect to Isagi is his adaptability. It has been shown time and time again that Isagi is able to completely shed himself and become anew when pushed to his limits. It's not like he gets a power up or anything, he just shifts his way of thinking that'll allow him to act in the best way possible in the current situation he's in. He's an amazing protagonist, yet for some reason people hate him. And it's not like it's a small section, everywhere I look, all I see from people is hate. In the beginning of Blue Lock, Isagi was one of the worst players, and it's not like he was a bad player or anything, it's just that everyone was so much better than him. But despite that, we see him grow into a more and more capable player. With every match, we see him discover new parts of himself that allow him to perform better, whether it be his direct shot, his spatial awareness, or pretty recently, metavision. And finally, after 200 chapters later, we see Isagi get to a point where he is without a doubt one of the best players in Blue Lock, able to go toe to toe with people from the new Gen 11. And what are a lot of people's thoughts on this? All his development, all his plays and evolution is plot armor. This has got to be one of the most insane cases of reading something and not only having it fly over your head, but actually into your head, giving you severe brain damage. I'm sorry, but did we read the same series? Because there is no way you watch Isagi go through all this development and chalk it up to plot armor. One of the most insane cases of this is when Isagi scores the winning goal in the U20 match. This scene perfectly emphasizes the best traits of Isagi. This goal was the accumulation of everything Isagi had learned at this point in the story. His vision, when he saw Rin was acting differently than usual, that made him believe that he'd beat his brother on a one-on-one, which made him stay back near the goal instead of going back on defense like everyone else. He then utilized his newest puzzle piece, luck, which he learnt about in the second selection, in which you place yourself in a position where you'd utilize luck if it came your way, which made him go into the best possible spot to score a goal in case luck did come his way. And finally, when everything fell into place, he pummeled the ball that fell perfectly into his range and performed a direct shot straight into the goal. If Isagi hadn't gone through a single one of these revelations he went through before the U20 match, he never would have been able to score that goal. But by him fully taking in everything he learned, he was able to perform the winning goal that let everyone know that not only is Blue Lock something special, but Isagi Yoichi is someone to look out for. Now, what opinions have I seen from this spectacular goal? Oh, it was just luck. He just got lucky. Are you fucking kidding me? How do you watch this? How do you read this and come to the conclusion it was all luck? That is a slap in the face to everything Isagi has gone through in this series. Yes, luck was a major factor in his goal, but they literally went over this when Rin won the 4v4 in the second selection to luck. Isagi did everything right. He looked over absolutely everything except for luck. We then learned that if you utilize it well by placing yourself in a position to get lucky, then you'll reap the benefits if luck does come your way. It's a fucking key lesson he learns in Blue Lock, so to call his goal lucky is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Look, I'm not unreasonable here. I know a lot of kids consume Blue Lock, so if that's the case, then okay. But listen here, if you are a full-grown adult saying this nonsense, please, take a good look at yourself in the mirror and just stare. Stare at the person who has the most horrendous takes in anime manga, because there is no way you'd look at this goal after seeing everything Isagi had to go through to be able to achieve such a goal and diminish it as plot. And this takes us to the Neo Egoist League, where the Blue Lock characters have to pick a mentor from a different country and go up against each other. This arc, in my opinion, is the best Blue Lock has ever been so far, and all the games have just gotten better and better. The Blue Lock characters, and especially Isagi in this arc, evolve rapidly. With each game, the plays become more complex. Goals that worked in earlier games suddenly have no effect in later games. It really tests the characters and clearly separates who can live up to the current expectations and who can't live up to the current expectations. And with the latest game, Munchen vs PXG, this game is the highest quality soccer game in terms of complexity this series has produced so far. And with it having reached its climax for the last goal with Isagi scoring it, it is without a doubt become one of the best games Blue Lock has produced so far. And despite this, from what I've seen, the opinions of this game have been fairly mixed. The argument that this game has been going on for too long is fair. It could have been paced better. It definitely doesn't help if you're reading it weekly, where there are a lot of build-up chapters that lead to very rewarding moments in the game. If I was going to give you any bit of advice, I'd probably just wait till the game ends, as the series is so easy to binge read, but ultimately it's up to you. I can accept that it's too long, but what I won't agree on is that it's a bad match. There was so much going on in this game with Isagi's 2-gun volley, Kaiser's backstory, and rediscovering his true ego, which made him let go of his fixation with Isagi. Rin doubling down on his fixation with Isagi and Sai and just becoming more and more monster-like. Seriously, bro needs to chill out. Noel showing his true ego and dropping the bomb that he never cared for Isagi, and that his actual goal was to make Kaiser better, which led to Isagi discovering his true ego and letting go of all of his rivalries, which finally allowed Isagi to realize that at the end of the day, bro just wants to win his matches. So he does the unthinkable and teams up with Kaiser. Then Rin unlocks fucking Predator Eye. Isagi figures out that if he's able to read the match faster than anyone, then he can score, which leads to an amazing chapter of Isagi figuring out Ness's awakening before anyone, completely killing his emotions and playing so well that Ness thought Isagi was Kaiser and scored a beautiful goal, becoming Blue Lock's Demon King and winning the game. Going back to Isagi and Kaiser, they have been at each other's throats for this entire Neo Egoist League despite being on the same team. These games could have gone so much quicker, but Kaiser and Isagi had it out for each other so much that they actively sabotaged each other's plays whenever they got the chance. So for Isagi and Kaiser to team up in this final game was such an amazing payoff. It truly shows how much they've evolved since the beginning of this arc. And that's been the theme for the whole series, evolving. For a character to progress in Blue Lock, they have to evolve so that they can survive, and I feel like this game encapsulates it the most. I have no basis for this, by the way, but I reckon the author saw all the hate for Isagi, so he just decided to make a chapter dedicated to everyone glazing him. I found it kind of funny. Like, bro, the manga is literally telling you why Isagi is so good and why he's the heart of the team, and these people just don't listen. I genuinely just can't understand the hate he gets. I also want to talk about Rin, because people's opinions on him are also interesting. I swear for the first half of this match, people were calling Rin a fraud because he really wasn't doing much until he went into Berserker mode. And then I saw half people glazing him and half people calling his plays plot. In context to the game, it makes sense that he's evolving at a rapid pace. The game is so complex that he has to evolve or else he's going to be left behind by Isagi and Kaiser. And the issue with Rin getting Predator Eye doesn't really make any sense to me. The thing is, when Predator Eye was established, I always saw it as kind of the opposite of Metavision, where instead of looking at the whole field, you hyperfixate on one thing. But then I hear people saying it was only established that it could be used against goalkeepers, despite it being shown that that's just incorrect. If that's really how Predator Eyes work, then the eyes is kind of mid, don't you think? Or it only being an offensive thing and people being confused when it's used defensively. I feel like on a narrative standpoint, with Metavision being this game changer that allows you to take the extra step into becoming world class if mastered, it makes sense that the corresponding eye, aka Predator Eye, would be just as good as Metavision if mastered, just in a different way. And from looking at Rin's character, just from his goals and the way he plays, it makes sense that he'd get Predator Eye and not Metavision. Yes, he's always had a good sense of spatial awareness, but it's clear that he plays at his best when he's hyper-focusing on one thing and destroying it. It was shown in the U20 match and in this match. And his personality is to destroy his opponents. Think about how he views Isagi and Sai. They aren't just competition to him, they are people he wants to destroy by his own hand. His fixation with others and this need to destroy makes him getting Predator Eye make sense from a narrative standpoint. Another thing I see is how predictable the series has become. This is funny to me because everywhere I look, everyone had a different theory on who was going to win and how they were going to win. I feel that people have such a surface level way of thinking that they truly believe that the series has become predictable. There's a difference between predictability and narrative expectations. Blue Lock has been building Isagi to be a new Gen 11 threat, and we see through his evolutions and how it occurs. Whenever there's build up for something to happen, there always has to be a payoff. If there isn't one, you just feel like you wasted your time for no reason. An example of a narrative expectation was when Kaiser scored the second goal for Bastard Munchen. For the past couple chapters, we saw his backstory and it got us to sympathize with him more. So, when we were left on that cliffhanger on if he scored or not, naturally people wanted him to score. And what some people don't get is due to Kaiser scoring that game, that isn't the series being predictable. That's you understanding the narrative of what was trying to be conveyed. See, imagine if instead of Kaiser scoring, fucking Ikaguri picks up the ball and does this insane super goal and scores the second goal for the team. Sure, no one in their right minds would have predicted that, but no one would have been happy with it. Just like how Isagi scores the final goal. If you have a good understanding of the narrative, you could have predicted Isagi was going to score. Would you know how? Well, you could have made some guesses, but you wouldn't have guessed that Asagi's positional play was so good that nested this crazy topspin past him thinking it was Kaiser, only for Isagi to get the final goal. From what I understand, this spawned from Bastard Munchen winning every single game in the new Egoist League. So by them predicting that Asagi's team was going to win, that makes the series more predictable than it was because before Isagi wouldn't always win every game. You know what I think about this? I think people are stuck in the past. Move on and accept that Isagi has become as good as the new Gen 11 and people like Bachida and Nagi can't keep up. And what's with the whole they don't show enough characters? Genuinely, when did people start liking Zantetsu? Who gives a fuck if Zantetsu isn't given the spotlight? I forgot this motherfucker existed. This was always gonna happen though. Not all the people in the beginning of the series are gonna become as good as people like Asagi, Rin, and Baro. So honestly, I'm glad they're not getting the spotlight because if they were, then this arc would have gone on for another fucking year, man. And I know I touched on Rin earlier getting Predator Eye and how I think it makes sense. That doesn't change the fact that he is straight buns. Despite Rin evolving so much throughout this match, the whole thing with him playing so selfishly is what made them lose the game. And I get it, the whole thought process with geniuses being selfish and unpredictable, but like, I swear, Rin was selling this whole game to lose. And I want to preface, I don't see this as a flaw in the writing, I see it as an opportunity. If Rin doesn't change something about his plays during the U20 World Cup arc, then he's just gonna become a nuisance for his team. So I might not be a Rin hater like some people in this fandom, but I will be hard on people I think are letting their team down. I'm hopeful in the next arc something about him will change and we won't be stuck with whatever the fuck we have right now. From where I stand, no one can come to an agreement in this fandom. The game was too long, but you want to focus more on some of the other characters. Everything Asagi has done was plot and not earned, yet that literally goes against the whole narrative of the story. Say what you want about the most toxic fandom in anime, at least they can come to an agreement about something in their series. I'm seriously considering if the Blue Lock fandom even likes Blue Lock, because I have never seen such a group of people so divided on a piece of fiction. What happened to just enjoying a series? Guys, the series really isn't that deep to the point where the entire fandom has to be this divided. Hey guys, if you enjoyed my rant and if some people from the Blue Lock fandom didn't get too offended by what I said, then consider liking and subscribing, it would be a huge help. And with Blue Lock soon entering the U20 World Cup arc, it is surely going to keep getting more and more intense. And my predictions are that the fandom is going to get more and more unhinged with this upcoming arc.